Happy Monday to you, Neo fam. It's Monday, March 30th, 2026. It's a little after 7 a.m. Central Time as I'm recording this. And I wanted to point a couple things out here as we start the week, especially with respect to the trade week and what I noticed heading into the weekend. First off, with NIO, there was nothing that really stood out in my mind on Friday night, but this is the 4 a.m. Eastern Time, 5 minute candle and wick. The open for this candle was $5.50 for NIO. The high off of it was $5.54. The low was 546 and it closed at 549. Right now, pre-market as I'm recording, we're at about 548. So $5.48. By the way, the volume on that was just over 500,000 shares. So that was just this is just a glimpse of the pre-market here in the US on this Monday morning. But this is the thing that actually caught my attention, and it started last week when on Friday night I noticed the final 5 minute incremental wick and candle was kind of like this, except it was to the downside last week on the SPY, and it looked like it just carried into Monday morning pre-market. So I was curious to track and see if the same thing would happen this week, and it did, except that it was green. And I referenced this in my last two videos, by the way, which let me pull that up. So you can find and check these out if you haven't, because I did a much deeper dive in this longer video here. And I even talked about the SPY here. This was from heading into the weekend. I think I did this one on Friday. But interestingly to me was the fact that the moves on this kind of last point, and in fact, in the video yesterday, the longer video, I actually broke this down to the 1 minute incremental windows so we could look at that. And as you'll see, I don't know if you can see up here, the volume is 0. So there's no volume, but there's a candle and a direction that the candle goes. And that happened last week. The difference is last week, it was to the downside on the SPY and it carried it into the pre-market. And of course, this week it was green on Friday. And I waited till over the weekend to check it, and then shared that in that video yesterday. And this green has continued into the pre-market this morning. And here's my thought with that. I mentioned it in the video. I'm just curious if maybe these are preset algos trading and actually giving an indicator of what's going to happen. Now that it's on my radar, I'm a little more curious, and I'm going to keep tracking this at least for the next few weeks and see if this is a trend or an indicator that's going to be valid moving forward. So very interesting stuff. The NIO one, there was no significant move, which is why I didn't worry about it, but it is nice to see that pre-market green. And by the way, if you didn't see this, welcome to the Americas, NIO, and all three brands, as William Lee posted this over the weekend, talking about them being in Costa Rica, and they brought all three brands there. By the way, I shared this as well in the longer video, but if you haven't seen it, this is where you can go to the NIO site and look at all their partners across the globe. And it is noteworthy. I believe what they're doing, for example, Singapore, they've just got Firefly there right now. Uzbekistan, they've got NIO and Onvo. And then Costa Rica, all three brands, I think they're selectively taking the brands and maybe even the models that they think are going to sell well based on the respective areas they're going into. And I think part of what they're doing is working with their partners in those areas to determine which vehicles or models or brands are going to make the most sense. And I'll be curious to watch this evolve over time. Of course, we'll see more announcements moving forward. The goal per NIO is to be in 40 countries by the end of this year. I believe that is the goal for them. So that'll be fun to track moving forward. But let me get this video up and out. I'd like to get it out well before the market opens. So as I'm concluding the recording, it's about 7:10 a.m. It's almost 7:10 a.m. Central Time, my time. So have a great day or night. Whenever you see this, I'll see y'all again very soon.